Hi, economics class. Dr. Cywert here. It's our second week of class, and just wanted to touch base with some of the things we're going to be studying. The first week is always a little just kind of getting into the class, finding the e-text. Sounds like a lot of you did great on that. Maybe if you want to take the syllabus quiz for extra points. So just little things like that, just getting acclimated to the Blackboard. So now you're probably going to find out, some of you take economics before, the first 6 chapters repeat. So if you are in micro and you've taken it, the first 6 chapters are the same for macro. It's basically getting everybody back on the same page as far as what economics truly is. After the 6 chapters, then we've split out to our micro, macro portions. So as we're talking the next few weeks, 6 weeks, or 3 weeks, sorry, for 6 chapters, we're just learning again about economics. Economics is a behavior, and everybody, governments, stores, people try to track it. How much money do I have? What can I buy? A lot of it is supply and demand. You probably know when you go get an iPhone, or if you do go get an iPhone, if you try to get one the first day, that's not going to happen most likely, because they don't have enough normally. So that's supply and demand. They don't have the supply for the demand. So probably today, like I have a AFC shirt on, Chiefs from last year. If I try to go out and get one today, it might be real hard, because the demand is there, but the supply probably isn't. And so it just depends on what the good is. Let's just talk about cereals. There's a million cereals we can pick from. So it doesn't look like that the supply really is a problem there. The problem really there is they're all kind of the same thing. If they don't have maybe Cheerios, do we go get something else? Probably. They're all kind of the same, which we'll talk about later. But if we're looking for a new car now, there'll be a car that you want, and you want it your way with your terms, that kind of thing. And so that is a little bit different, as far as we go through our supply and demand. So they might not have what you are looking for, and they'll have to look for it. So that could be a problem of scarcity. What I've heard is a lot of people are buying used cars, which is surprising to me. I thought there'd be a lot dumped with the pandemic. People are like, I don't want to pay this for this car anymore. But there is quite a demand for used cars. So the supply isn't there probably for some of the cars. And what I've heard is some of them are just bought right off, before somebody could even get there to look for, depending what car it is. So right now, that's the supply and demand of the vehicles. Now, if we look at travel, there's not a demand for travel right now because of the pandemic. So we don't have much of a supply. So we're probably going to have to pretty much go when they tell us to and pay what they want us to pay. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to charge tons more for a route, but most likely they're going to charge more because they just don't have the amount of planes flying. So maybe this isn't a good time to travel because rates are up, trying to get some of that lost revenue. So there can be scarcity of these things. Hopefully we don't ever have a problem with scarcity of gas. That happened in the 1970s, and there were lines for people to go get gas. So that would be horrible. But anyway, that's a thought about scarcity items. And then the supply and demand, and then, like I said, we have behaviors typical just to us, buying and selling behaviors. So, we look for sales and we hope it doesn't run out. And, maybe some things you just don't, it's okay if it's not on sale. You got to have it, like a Starbucks coffee. If that's you want that, that's fine. That's why it's nice that in the United States we have consumer choices. So if that's your deal, go for it. So anyway, economics is supply and demand, trying to find the equilibrium. How much do we pay let's say we're making something, how much do we make to make sure it's going to be sold? If we make a mistake, does it sit on the shelf and then it's, then we can't get rid of it because the date goes past the date? These are hard questions that people are trying to answer. So, that's a company. Maybe it's us. Maybe our car, we were going to replace it this year, and it turns out, we got to try to milk it for another year. So, what can we do to do those things? So, economics, I think it really hits healthcare too. For somebody like me, I have really, really good healthcare, and they always send me to somebody that's probably the most expensive person that's ever been in Wichita. But other people don't have that luxury. So is there a supply and demand to get everybody equal? Maybe at some point there will be. But these are things we look at in economics. Why is the supply and demand? How do we get to the equilibrium number? How do we do things more efficiently and effectively? If you want to really look at a fine shopping machine, Amazon, I think they've got it figured out. Now, with some different things coming through the government pipeline, if they have to go to $15 an hour for their employees, this might do something different with their plans as well. I don't see them cutting back anywhere, but I could see them, they'll have a thought on it. So anyway, it's just look around and see. We had the toilet paper shortage earlier last year. That was a supply and demand. People demanded it, but they didn't have the supply back for it. And same thing with masks. There weren't masks a year ago to the demand that we need them now. So it changes all the time. I find it extremely interesting. And an economist can make a ton of money if you are thinking about going that route. I think, I have a lot of hours in the economy type things, classes and genre, but that's something that is always going to be in your life, supply, demand, prices, that kind of thing. So if it's something that interests you, try to learn more about it. And in this class, we're going to use PACBAC as kind of maybe a little bit to just get you thinking about some things. The first question that I posted was about the president and oil prices, because it annoys me to pay much for oil now that I don't pay much. Now we're going into the 4-year presidency. A lot of people have bought big vehicles because they were cheaper. Now are we going to get to the point again where we can't, afford these big vehicles and they're going to be dumped onto the market? I don't know. We'll have to see, I guess. I would caution about buying one for sure, unless you absolutely need one. So just things like that. What's going to happen, when we do these things that are going through the economy? Think about those things. Could be something simple like Century 2. I had a question last semester, do we keep it or not? And it was a good conversation, because before I would have said, yes, we've got to keep it. It's a tradition, but then I'm see what the students say and I'm like, okay, those are good points. Okay, I can see this. So it's nice to be able to talk about these things and maybe turn somebody to think about it. So as we're talking about PACBAC is 15 points, and it's a chunk. It's 20% of your grade. So I've had students that didn't do it, and it's sad to me, because then their grade goes down and they could have had this really great grade. So it doesn't take much time, and it's usually very interesting, and it'll keep you kind of in contact with what's going on in the world, most likely, because I like to ask things that's kind of happened that week, or what's going to happen. So anyway, that's kind of the start of your chapters 1 through 4, a little bit about PACBAC. And of course, hopefully, you'll ask me questions. I usually have my phone right by me, because I'm that person. So anyway, please stay in contact if you need to, and I'm happy to talk to you at any point. And I like to start the week guiding you a little bit through what's going on. So anyway, have a fantastic week. And I have to say this, I'm sorry, go Chiefs.